harbour dreams of writing, but you never find the time? The screenwriter, playwright and novelist William Goldman once said, "The easiest thing on earth to do is not write." And I read a great book on writing productivity that I'm going to review for you today. I'm Jack, this is Spread Book Joy, and today I'm going to review Written by Chris Smith and Bev Evans. I'm a huge fan of productivity books. I've read loads of them, and habit forming books. So yeah, a big fan of forming habits. And one habit I've never been able to stick to is regularly writing. Now, as someone who teaches writing to children, I often like to do writing sessions with them, and I'll produce things that I need to demonstrate certain writing techniques to them. And I also just like to write for fun. I was part of a Teachers as Writers group years ago because we teach writing, so therefore we thought you should be doing some writing. And just because you set these things for children and you don't do it yourself, then you kind of don't know the pitfalls of it and you don't know how to teach it. So I do quite a lot of writing because I like to teach writing, and then I also do sort of writing just for the fun of it because I enjoy stories and narrative structure and I like to figure these things out. And I also like to do reviews of books. I like to write like blog posts and things like that, and I also want to do a bit more academic writing. So writing is something that I want to do more of. I always think I never do enough of, and I've never successfully created a regular writing habit. Earlier this year, I kind of was questioning why I don't have time for certain things, and it kind of made me think about my time on BookTube quite a bit, which I'll link my video where I talk about, am I reading too much? But it was getting in the way of everything, and I kind of wanted to make more room for writing. Then I was thinking about my life and how much older I'm getting and how finite my time is, so I was seeking out some inspiration on writing and doing sort of like creating a writing habit that's stuck. And I found this book on Everand, and it's just a bit of luck. And the thing that got me to read it was Oliver Burkeman, who wrote the book 4,000 Weeks, which really made me think about how I'm spending my time, had a quote on this book. And so the audiobook was on Everand, and I am going to get myself a copy of this book to keep because I am going to keep referring back to it. And it's one of those books where some of the productivity information in it, like if you've read Atomic Habits and things like that, you're going to think, oh well, it's not necessarily new information. But what I found really great about this book was it is purely writing focused. So it's productivity and it's about being productive with your writing and building a writing habit that sticks and that works for you. One thing I really enjoyed about this book was the fact that writing and having time to write is actually a very privileged position to be in. And lots of writing advice over the years is very famous advice from Ray Bradbury, who has some great advice on writing. One of the things he always advises is if you want to be a writer, you need to write every day. And that is something that I've never been able to do. And you feel like if you don't write every day, then you're a failure, you're never going to get those skills. And actually it's a really privileged kind of way of looking at writing, because some people work far too long, like in terms of their shift work. They don't earn enough money, so they have to work 2 shifts, 2 jobs. They maybe work in a job like nursing where they have to work 16-hour days, whatever it is that nurses work, crazy hours they work. Teachers working 12, 13-hour days and then marking in the evening when they get home after doing those days at school. So it's kind of a very privileged way of thinking about writing, and thinking that if you can't write regularly every day, then you're not going to ever form those habits or be able to develop your skills as a writer. And one thing I appreciated about this book was it was very much focused on getting whatever it is that you personally need in order to help you write more. So some people may need to reorganize their living space so that they write. Some people might work best when they know they've got to sit down at a certain spot and do it. Some people may want to try and develop their skills at writing whenever they can find time or space to do it. So I think it was really good at helping you focus on your barriers. So the book gave a lot of questions to sit down and reflect on and think about, and made me really think about where I was spending my time and when I write best. Like, am I someone who should be up late at night writing, or am I someone who finds it better early in the morning, or am I a kind of afternoon writer? It made me try some things out think about my process, think about what worked for me. And I have to say, I've been writing more regularly for the past 2 months than I have done in years. I was more of a fits and starts, sporadic burst of writing kind of person, and now I'm more considered, and I do want to develop a near daily writing habit. I'm never going to beat myself up if it's not daily, but I do want to do a little bit of writing each day. I do want to improve by increments, but I also want to have long reading, like writing sprints of writing. So for me, as someone who has struggled for years to develop a regular writing habit and who goes for months without writing anything and then suddenly bursts of writing because I have days off, so I'm going to do that, it kind of made me look at my time and how I do it. But in terms of writing, they also give quite a bit of advice on thinking about your inner critic, because if you're writing for an audience, you know, if you think someone's going to see it, sometimes that can be really frightening. And yeah, like all of those sorts of things that plague you if you do any kind of creative work, I think. And I think their advice was really good for anything you want to do. I mean, you really could apply this productivity advice to anything, but because it's a book which was focused on writing, it helped me focus on writing. But I've taken copious notes from it, and I've kind of done quite a bit of journaling around it, because they kind of make you stop and think about your goals, about whether they're outcome goals or habit goals, all those kinds of things. But you know, why am I recommending this book? Because there are loads of habit forming books out there. I'm recommending this book for people who want to develop a writing habit, that their writing becomes something they do regularly. It doesn't have to be something you do every day, as they kind of profess in here, but they also talk about the blocks to writing and writer's block. But they discuss it in a much more nuanced way, and they talk about your designing your environment if you're lucky to have the space to do so. They talk about distractions and managing those, and all of these things actually are, you know, great for any kind of productivity, but I really enjoyed the fact that this was particularly focused on writing. If you want to develop your writing habit, if you are a writer and you're stuck for ways forward in kind of making sure you're doing it regularly, these two people, their qualifications are that they run writing retreats in England, and this is a fairly recent publication. I think it was 2023. If I'm wrong, I'll put up on the screen which year it was published in, and I listened to it on Everand, and like I said, I've been revisiting it, so every now and again I'm kind of getting a bit lost in the woods with something that I'm writing, and I'm just like, why am I doing this? And it kind of helps me to revisit my notes, the questions that they've got, like what are you know, ask yourself these questions, and it's kind of helped me recenter and gain my focus again. And yeah, I recommend it. Some people might go, oh no, there are better productivity books out there, habit books out there, but this one specifically for writing, I found it particularly good. If you've got any recommended reading around writing habits, I'd love to hear about it. I've read tons of books on writing. I love books on writing, and always happy to read more, but I've read kind of all the really well-known ones. I have read them. But if you've got any recommended, like your favourite books on writing, on the writing process, on writing habits, please drop them in the comments. Even if I've read them, I love hearing them again or talking about them with people. If you have never been here before and you like the sound of this review and you'd like to see some more, maybe check out some of my other things, maybe subscribe and stick around. If you want to leave a comment but you're not sure what to say, maybe leave me some sort of writing emoji, and hopefully I'll see you again here soon. Bye.